All right, good morning. So your question for today is what factors are included in an organism's niche? Niche is N-I-C-H-E. I'm going to switch colors of pen because I don't like the green. It's not showing up very well. So I'm going to switch. Lily's sitting in here with me right now while I teach so that if she has a question, she can ask it and maybe it'll answer some of your questions since this isn't a live video. In the future, I might very well do a live video, and if you're available during that time you can join in, but for right now we are just going to have a recorded one. All right, so your heading is organisms and their environment. Man, these pens are already not my friend. Let's see. Let me try the purple one. Okay. Maybe. Okay. All right, so remember we're talking about ecology, and ecology is the study of organisms and their interactions with each other and their interactions with the environment. We need to talk about two things. First are biotic factors. Bio means... Lily, bio means?
Life.
Life. So these are the living factors in an environment. So all the living organisms in an environment. This doesn't just include animals. We're talking all things that are living in an environment. So plants, animals, bacteria, all of those things are biotic factors. So then what would be the opposite of biotic factors? Lily, how would you say not living?
Abiotic.
Abiotic. Good. Abiotic factors. So abiotic factors are the non-living parts of the environment. Now, you're kind of slow, so you're going to have to keep up because I'm going to erase this and not wait for you. Okay. All right. So, some of these would include, examples of this would be climate. What kind of climate do the organisms live in? The wind. The nutrient availability. Soil. Sunlight. Those are all abiotic factors. Okay, so now I'm on my knees teaching, but it's okay. So this whiteboard's low because my kids write on it, but it was good for us. Okay, so we have biotic factors and abiotic factors. Another terminology that you need to take note of is habitat. A habitat is an area where an organism lives, but it includes both abiotic and biotic factors. So we've got living factors, non-living factors. The habitat is all of those factors in a specific area, whether it's living, non-living, but it's all of it together. Then we have something called a niche. Sometimes you might hear people say niche. Either way, tomato, tomato. Okay, so a niche is all the strategies and adaptations a species uses in its environment. including the following. Let's see how we're doing. Okay. Including type of food that an organism eats, how it obtains food, and shelter, and when and how a species reproduces. And survives. Okay, can you see that last one? Let's see. Okay. All right. So if you're still writing and you're a little bit behind, this is a good time to pause the video and finish writing this because I'm about to erase the top part and keep going. Okay, but I recognize that some of you might still be writing. So we're talking about a niche here. Is the niche is like the very specific things an organism uses and needs to live in its environment. So types of foods, how it gets its food and shelter, how it is able to reproduce and survive. Okay, so we're going to keep going. And I am going to erase this. Like I said, if you didn't finish, what happened to my towel? Oh, there it is. If you didn't finish that, just go ahead and pause it and okay. This goes right up under that last thing that we just wrote. No two species can share the same niche. In the same habitat. Not habitat. Okay? So a niche is very specific to an individual organism. Okay, so this is where you're going to divide your paper a little bit, and we're going to switch gears just a minute to talk about how organisms interact with each other. Okay? We call this symbiosis. Symbiosis is any relationship in which two species live closely together. Would you go get those other pens for me, please? Okay, we're going to draw a chart. It's going to go all the way across the page. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines deep. Thank you. Okay, and the first row is going to be our headers. It's going to be 3 columns, a smaller one and 2 bigger ones. This first one is going to say symbiosis. The middle one is going to say description. And the last one is going to say example. All right. So let's do our first one. There's going to be 3 different types. They're about 2 lines deep each. The first one we're going to do is called mutualism. Mutualism. So the description of mutualism is that both species benefit. From the interaction, so from the relationship. I like drawing a little picture to help see these things, so I'm going to write 2 smiley faces. They're both happy. An example of this would be flowers and insects. Another example would be a rhino and a tick bird. Rhinoceros, but I'm going to just write rhino. Okay, so that's your first one. That means that in the relationship, both organisms benefit from it. They're both happy. In the case of like the rhino is happy because the tick bird is eating bugs off of it. The tick bird's happy because it's getting its bugs for dinner. So they're both happy. Flowers need the insects to pollinate. Insects need the nectar to make honey or whatever type of insect they are. So they're both benefited. They're both happy. See the happy face here? Happy, happy. All right, the next one is commensalism. Commensalism is where one organism benefits and the other is neither helped or harmed. So in this case, one is happy, one is being benefited, and the other one is neither helped or harmed, not happy or sad. So here's your 2 smiley faces. And the example of commensalism would be trees and moss. Or whales and barnacles. And your third one here is called parasitism. This is where one organism lives on or in another organism and harms it. So in this case, we have one happy face and one frowny face. Examples of this would be dogs and ticks, or humans and mosquitoes. Okay, so those are our 3 types of symbiosis: mutualism, commensalism, parasitism. You need to understand, are they both benefiting? Is one benefiting? Is one not being harmed? Or is one benefiting and the other being harmed? By knowing that, then if I give you any scenario in any 2 organisms and tell you how they interact, you can tell me what kind of symbiotic relationship they have. Okay, they have one of these 3 symbiotic relationships. Okay. The last thing is we're going to define predators and prey, and then we will be done with our notes for today. Tomorrow, your activity will go along with these notes, and it'll be linked up on Google Classroom. please, please, please follow the directions on how to turn in your assignments. It's helpful to me for all things to go to the same place. I cannot have emails and remind pictures and all over the place. They need to all go to the one place. So if I link an assignment to Google Classroom and say you need to upload the pictures, that's what needs to happen. Okay, so please make sure that happens. I will give a little bit of grace this week so that we can all get it figured out, but assuming that this is going to go a little bit longer than what we imagined, you guys need to stay with me on uploading your assignments. I will put in missing for grades that don't show up there, and you can turn it back in. I won't shut off the link. You just need to go and submit it so that I know that you've turned it in. Okay? All right. So, last thing, predators. A predator is an organism that seeks out and eats other organisms. And prey is the organisms that are eaten. There you go. So these are your notes for this section. So this is section 4 notes and organisms and their environment. Your homework for tomorrow will be posted up later this afternoon if you want to get a head start. Just give me some grace because I'm dealing with 5 classes and all the digital things to upload and download and all that kind of stuff. So, if you want to put this in your table of contents, go ahead and I'll show you what you can write for that. If you haven't finished writing this, just make sure you pause it so that you can finish writing it. All right, so in your interactive notebook, this is 3/16. We're going to put 2 of these dates up there. The assignment that goes along with this will be called, let's get there, symbiotic relationships. And it goes on page 102. And your section 4 notes, and it goes up on page 103, and this is called, what did we just call it? Organisms and their environment. Okay, so there's your interactive notebook. There's your notes. Please, please, please make sure you're paying attention to what I write on RenWeb for what you're supposed to be doing. I will probably be having a help session, or like what I would call office hours, once a day for students to come drop in and ask me questions. So if you are struggling with some homework, then that would be a really great time to ask me questions. It'll probably be later, a little bit later in the day. So if you know my office hours are going to be, let's say 3 o'clock or something like that, then please make sure that you've tried to work on your homework so that you can come and ask the question. Okay? All right. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and please feel free to send me a remind message if you have any questions.